With strong rumours circulating that the PS5 could soon be backwards compatible with PS3 games, we got to thinking about some of our favourite racing games from the PS3 era. There are some real gems on this list, so trust me when I say you'll soon want to get your hands on these classics too. I'm Mark from Racing Games, and today I'm here to give you our list of 6 PS3 racing games we can't wait to play on the PS5. Assuming these rumours are true, of course. If not, we'll get the petition ready. As well as PS3 exclusives, we're also including multi-platform titles you can't currently play on PS4 or PS5. Alright, let's go. For anyone getting deja vu, yes, I have already talked about F1 Race Stars recently. Just last week in fact. Codemasters' largely forgotten F1 Race Stars released back in 2012. And we've been clamouring for a sequel or reboot ever since. Compared to the authentic annual F1 games, Race Stars threw realism straight out the window. This was a light-hearted take on the license, with cartoony big-headed versions of drivers like Hamilton, Vettel and Webber, crazy power-ups, and fantasy versions of iconic racetracks featuring jumps, shortcuts and loop-the-loops. Formula 1 is more popular than ever, and F1 Race Stars can introduce younger players into the world of F1 if it becomes available on the PS5. I'd definitely recommend you check out our video on F1 Race Stars yourself to see just why we're so keen for this to come to the PS5. Speaking of karting games, what about a karting game but with full-sized cars? Released back in 2010, Blur was one of the most unique racing games of its time. Combining licensed cars and arcade-style handling with Mario Kart-style weapons, Blur was essentially a kart racing game for adults. Races were constantly chaotic and exciting, blasting opponents with bombs and mines, and was hugely satisfying. Locations ranged from London to Brighton Pier, so there was always an interesting background behind each race too. Blur was developed by Bizarre Creations, best known for the Project Gotham Racing series. Despite praise from critics, Blur sold poorly. Tragically, Blur's poor sales resulted in Bizarre Creations closing its doors in 2011. Due to licensing restrictions, Blur was delisted on digital stores. This means the only way you can play this underrated combat racer is by hunting down a used physical copy. Since Bizarre Creations closed, Blur has developed a cult following, so it should be popular were it to come to the PS5. One of the reasons why Blur failed was because it was released a few days after Split Second Velocity. Developed by BlackRock Studios and released in 2010, Split Second was an action-packed arcade racer with a unique premise. In Split Second, you raced on tracks rigged to explode in a reality TV show. In a unique twist, you could use the environment to your advantage. Filling your power-up meter allowed you to trigger environmental traps and take out opponents. This resulted in some jaw-dropping set pieces straight out of a Michael Bay movie. You never forget the first time a jumbo jet crash lands onto the track in front of you, missing your car by inches. Over 10 years later, Split Second is still a blast to play and looks stunning. It's backwards compatible on Xbox Series X and S, but PS5 owners are missing out on this underrated racer. The PS3 version's frame rate was choppy, as the hardware struggled to cope with all the chaos, but the more powerful PS5 hardware would eliminate this issue and make it play like a modern game. Before we move on, have you subscribed to Racing Games yet? Just one click and you're on the Racing Games grid. Oh, and hit that notification bell too so you never miss an upload. Alright, on with the video. With Gran Turismo 7 just around the next corner, why not jump back in time and give its predecessor a go? Releasing towards the end of the PS3's life cycle in 2013, just 1 month after the PS4 went on sale, Gran Turismo 6 was largely overlooked. With just over 5 million units sold, Gran Turismo 6 is the lowest selling mainline game in the series. GT6 may not look as graphically gorgeous as Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5, but it has an insane amount of content. With over 1,200 cars, compared to Gran Turismo 7's 420 plus, GT6 has the largest car roster of any GT game. There was no shortage of variety either, with unique special events like the Goodwood Festival of Speed that let you tackle the famous hill climb circuit, a lunar exploration mission on the moon, and an Ayrton Senna tribute. GT6 deserves another chance to shine, and a PS5 re-release could give it a new lease of life. It's been 14 years since the last Midnight Club game. That's right, 14 years. After the series came up in a Take-Two Interactive investor call, there are rumours Midnight Club could make a comeback. We're keeping our fingers crossed on that one, but in the meantime, it's a good excuse to revisit Midnight Club Los Angeles. While Midnight Club LA is backwards compatible on Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation players are still out of luck. It's not even available on the PS Now streaming service. At the time, the open world was the largest in the series to date, with an accurate version of the City of Angels to explore. Car customization was also expanded, while a race editor allowed you to create your own races in online multiplayer. While Forza Horizon 5 is proving popular on Xbox, PS5 players are starved of open world racing games right now, paving the way for Midnight Club LA to give us our street racing game fix while we wait for the new Need for Speed. Another game we've talked about before, and for very good reason. Several years before Grand Theft Auto 3 popularised open world games, Driver let you drive recklessly around 3D cities whilst running from the cops. Released in 2011, Driver San Francisco, the last mainline game in the series, is criminally underrated. Swerving away from the usual format, San Francisco still sees you taking on the role of undercover cop John Tanner, but this time in Tanner's dream world, created by the coma he's in after being injured in a crash whilst on duty. This was the setup for Driver San Francisco's innovative shift mechanic. Instead of getting out of the car and exploring the city on foot, Shift let you control Tanner's spirit and possess other drivers, taking control of their cars. It sounds wacky, but the ability to switch between cars on the fly made for some entertaining multiplayer matches. Driver San Francisco was also the first game in the series with licensed cars, putting you behind the wheel of famous Hollywood movie cars, from the Ford Mustang driven by Steve McQueen in Bullitt to the Dodge Challenger in Vanishing Point. Like Midnight Club Los Angeles, Driver San Francisco is backwards compatible on Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles, but not PS4 and PS5. After the open world driving game celebrated its 10th anniversary last year, this needs to change. Now yes, the game has famously had its issues with licenses, being pulled from digital sales back in 2016, but perhaps with a little bit of persuading, the time is right for it to make a comeback. And that's our list. There are still plenty more amazing racing games from the PS3 era that would be perfect for PS5 players, so do let us know in the comments below which games you'd like to see, and we'll definitely come back and revisit this topic. For now though, I've been Mark from Racing Games, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and now I'm off to find a second-hand PS3. I feel like a road trip around Los Angeles, or maybe even a coma trip to Frisco.